Okay, Paul. Tell us about your birds and a little bit about yourself.
My birds, huh? Well, I have the Birmingham roller, of course. It's a beautiful bird in the air. I've got a mix of families. I've got several different families. Got some jackanets, got some Easleys, got some old family Pinzons. Been into birds forever. My grandpa raised birds. He got his first original Pinzons right there after Bill Pinzon died in 1969. He picked up quite a few pairs. He got 15 pairs there in 1969. Took them back to Fresno and then gave them to, or not gave them to, but my uncle subsequently got into pigeons as well, and he flew them. My grandpa flew them a lot in the beginning in the 60s, or well, in the early 70s. But then as you guys probably know, the game changed from flying pigeons to show pigeons. They had the dual purpose pigeon there for a while where they would have to fly them, but they switched over to pretty much all show, and that's what my grandpa was. That's what I knew him as. Growing up, he had only show pigeons, show rollers. My uncle, though, had the flying type, and I don't know, what, about 7 or 8 years old, saw him, and had to get some. So by the time I was in high school, I had my first few kits going. I think the first organized fly I flew in was 2001. Yeah, somewhere around there, 2000, 2001. I think that was a MBRC fall fly.
So, Paul, tell us about your Jack family and your Easy family. Where did you get them from?
The jackanet stuff I got from a good friend of mine right in the beginning of getting into pigeons. I met a couple really cool guys. One being Suchi, a guy out there in Sacramento. Actually, he was one of the first few guys getting back into the game. Well, actually, just after I had talked to Ken Furl, coming back into pigeons, I wanted to get some from my uncle, but my uncle didn't really have any at the time. This was just 5 years ago, 2011. I'd say something like that, 2011. That's when I got back into pigeons. I moved out here to the country. I said I had to have pigeons again after a long stint being at university and, well, just fooling around at apartments and stuff. But now I live here out in the country, and I knew I had to have pigeons, so I got some from Ken Furl. That's where I actually got most of the Easleys. And Ken Furl helped me out a lot. He gave me a lot of pigeons, and through that I don't know how I met Suchi. I can't remember. It's been so many years, but he put me in touch with the first EZR meeting out there in Tracy, out there at Chris Sabi's house, and that's where I met Juan Velasquez. And Juan is the one who set me up with a lot of these jackanets that came down from his nephew breeds them, Sal something or other, and Sal had gotten his from a lot from Sammy Williams. So I had gotten a few Sammy Williams too. Sammy Williams, apparently he flies jacks. He had gotten like one bird from the feed store a long time ago. He's mixed like a couple here and there. He's got a real good family over there, Sammy Williams. He flies some deep birds.
So, Paul, are you planning to like cross your 3 families together, or are you gonna breed them per or anything, or in the futures?
I do want to, I intend on sort of trying to funnel it down into just one family. That would be a little bit more preferred, and I have I have made plans to do that, and continually always have. You gotta have a few pairs set up that are that are your practice, or not necessarily practice, but experimental type pairs, and that's definitely where I'll go ahead and mix the Easley in with the Jack and Ned, or I have a couple old Pinsum birds as well that I mix in there that are really exceptional in the air to watch them. Those old Pinsum, the speed on them is amazing. So yeah. Eventually, I'd like to do it. I wish I had done it similar to Dave Murray down in Fresno, California. He has a great breeding program. I'm not sure if you're familiar with it, but he took like just 3 or 4 birds. I'm not sure exactly what it is, but a very small, selective amount of birds, and just mash those all together, bred them up. But they're all 4 or 5 of them are different. They're all different. He bred them every which way, so that ended up for a really good working family down there for him. So.
Okay, Paul. In a year, how many birds do you breed in a year?
Typically this has been a slow year for me, but I'll try to breed 100 birds. We get munched on by the hawk and the falcon a lot here in California. Me, not as bad as other guys, but I still do suffer some losses, and I'll suffer a few roll down losses and just a few duds. So sometimes I'll end up with I try to keep about 2 to 3 kits of young birds per year, but definitely two solid kits of young birds a year. So that's at least 60 birds I'll try to get, and I'll always donate some to the shows, or give some away to friends and stuff like that. So
Paul,
around that.
So Paul, when you breed, do you color bands or like any special things you do to your breeding programs?
Special
color bands? Yeah, a special mate, or like what you looking like?
No, I don't do anything like that. I know a lot of guys. I know Zhang, you're a big fan of having different bands, and I know Jesse.
Like color bands. I mean,
Quintero. Yeah, to establish what pairs they came off of very easily and stuff like that. And I can see some of that stuff being beneficial, especially if you have like a good click pair or something like that that bird's gonna roll, so you kind of want to take a look at that bird on the shelf a little easier. I don't like to judge them like that. I like to keep them just with one single band, and they're just an anonymous pigeon to me until they're an all-star, or until they're something, or until they're a bad guy, or anything like that. That way you have no complications in culling that bird. If that bird is a terrible bird, sometimes you'll say, this old junker, dude, I'm gonna get rid of this sucker. And you look at the band, and you look at your book, you say, oh shoot, he's out of some of my best stuff. You might give him an extra week or something like that, but sometimes he's still got to go, and I don't know if he holds the special band on him that you're like, oh no, he's from the best bird. He's gonna get an extra week. He's gonna get an extra month, So I don't give them anything special. They gotta prove themselves with messed up feathers, right? Or ripping it up, and then that's what makes them special. So personally.
So Paul, when you breed, do you switch your mate every year, or?
What's funny? I went back. Man, I suffered a terrible sickness last year, and I think I got that PMV. A lot of people are really bummed about. And a bunch of my birds died, I really couldn't get a young bird to live at all. So I suffered. My first round died. My second round died. I think I got some of my third round. I think I maybe got like 40 birds total last year or something like that. But I still, I banded 100 plus. So it was a terrible year for me. And I can't remember what the question was. what was it? So yeah, about the switching mates, last year I had that sickness, so unfortunately I had a bunch die, so I wasn't able to kind of see results. So and instead of continuing forward with those same pairs or even changing it up further, I went back to pairs that I had 2 years ago, because I had some good success out of that particular round, and I recommend going after the roll, you know. But you got to mix it up though. So you want those relationships that are going to end up getting you closer to the family that you want, closer to line breeding and stuff like that. But on the flip hand, you have to keep those pairs together that are producing you rolling pigeons. It'd be really nonsensical to do the otherwise, right? I think.
So Paul, when you look into your kit birds, what do you like look for like to add them to your team, or to like to make a team out of them, or which one to cur out, or which one how you select?
I mean, you know, pigeons are going to prove themselves. They have to kit. They have to kit strong. If they're non-kitters, they're out. They're not in my team anymore. Sometimes you can keep an exceptionally deep one in your third stringers just to show off for the family and friends. But really, a non-kitter is non in my kit. So there's definitely going to be a few things that are going to get culled out right away. Non-kitting, landing early, a few ungrievous things.
How long do you keep the bird in your kit and fly them before you get rid of them? Like,
oh, you know, I mean, they can bite the dust pretty early. They can get culled pretty early, and but generally I'm gonna at least give them 6 months to fly before I really start considering hard decisions. They'll typically get a year for non-rolling birds. I'm gonna get rid of them after a year. If they haven't showed me any roll, I'm getting rid of them. I know a lot of guys have hard feather birds or hard temperament or strong character birds that won't come into the roll for 2 years. But man, that is way too long for me to wait for. My uncle had some Monty Nibel birds, and they took 18 to 24 months to come into the roll, dude. Could you believe that? Yeah, like,
damn.
I wouldn't fool with those birds. Not here in California. You know, maybe somewhere else where you have a little less problems with falcons, and and if you just don't mind watching birds go around in circles.
So how long does your birds come in to a row or the spin?
Yeah. Well, I mean,
your family.
I love it when they come in early. You know, some people say, oh, you know, if they start coming in around 3 months, they're going to be a little too hot. And I've heard from other flyers. Mike Walden flies a lot of birds that come in super early. He has great success with them. I haven't had that kind of fortune. I have had a few birds come in at the 3 to 4 month mark that are pretty nice, but typically mine come in at the 7 to 8 month. That's when a lot of the birds will start cranking it up. You know, where you're able to really see some genuine roll rather than some loose stuff. So, but yeah.
Okay, Paul, tell me something about your birds.
Oh yeah, about some of these birds. This bird right here is an excellent bird. It wasn't bred by me. It was bred by Suchi out in Sacramento, and it's out of the old family, the sister hen stuff. I think, you know, like the Roy Edmonds. This is an excellent bird. This bird flew for 2 years in my kit, and man, was an all-star. About a 40-foot, hard spinning bird, and real deep, like I said. And so after about those 2.5 years of just really dedicated work for me, I decided that he's earned his place inside the stock loft. And unfortunately, I don't have too many of these birds or any other of these birds. So this bird has been an outcross in some of those other families, and every hen he goes to, he is fire. So I think he is one of those pre-potent. He's bred for the past 3 years. He's bred my best bird in the kit. And the funny thing is he hasn't been in the. I try to mix him around just to really see if he's hitting on every hen, and that slows his production down. So I've made some adjustments this year, and hopefully I'll be able to pump a bunch out of this guy, because he really throws the heat. Last year, unfortunately, the best bird that I raised last year and the year before that, both were eaten by hawks. But blurs, and he throws red white flights, and oh man, they came out blazing. This particular bird, I'm not sure if you guys know, or Zhang, I mean, I think we all know a little about it, or have talked about it. He has what's called a window eye. He's got a white speck inside of the pupil of his eye. And I don't know if that really means anything. I know eye sign in the roller world is not really thought of too highly, but in the homer world and a few other pigeon raising categories, they value it pretty highly, eye sign. So this has got a little window, just a small white fleck inside the pupil of his eye, and I don't know if that necessarily means anything, but I have seen that in a few pigeons. And maybe if just by chance, those particular pigeons were excellent producers. So I would be a tiny bit mindful of if it has the eye. the white in the eye. Let me go grab another one, huh?
Yeah. Right.
All right, these 3 birds are really exceptional birds. These are all 2013 birds. These are 3 brothers. I have 1 sister too. These are that have all made it to the breeding cage. Exceptional birds that I flew out. The 2014 season was really good to me. I did a lot of winning in competition in 2014. My birds were on fire, and it was really partly responsible to these 3 cock birds, and 1 hen bird actually that's out of a pair. Unfortunately, and this is a lesson that we should all learn as fanciers, not to get rid of birds before we know if they've actually proven themselves out. So I got rid of a bird before I knew that it produced so great. It was a Sammy Williams jackanet bird that I had put on a sow hen. Yes, and I had the sow hen for a long time. She died just recently, so I don't have the mom or the dad. But now I have these three brothers and 1 sister, and these are all smokers. They all came into the roll around that 5 to 6 month range. The lavender, heavily ticked lavender, is the deepest out of these 3. But these are all, or both of them are 30 footers. The 2 duns. The lavender is just a touch deeper at about 40 to 50 feet. All really deep birds, and relatively fast birds as well. Hey, they're having some brotherly angst there. The all-star though is the most frequent bird, which would be the mixed flight bird that does on average once per minute. Fairly easily, and his sister was twice a minute, no matter what, and her frequency really earned her a spot in the breeding pen. These birds, just having been recently put to the stock pen, haven't yet proven themselves, and with that problem that I had last year with the sickness, most of their babies ended up dying. I do have a few around, but all these three are excellent, and I really hope to go forward with these guys for sure. Three Amigos breeding program, I think is what I'm gonna call it. The Three Stooges, maybe.
Three Stooges. So how long does your birds come into the row? Three brothers right there.
These ones, like I said, they came around 6 months. You know, maybe the lavender came in just a tad bit earlier. But they came in to roll that season. I think these birds, for the 2013 fall fly, I think 2 of them were in the team. Maybe one hadn't quite matured enough to get in there. My memory is not the best, but I'm fairly sure that's how it worked out. They probably around the 5 month mark, somewhere around in there.
How about the sister? How deep the sister and
The sister, which is all black, she's all black orange eye, very vivid orange and red eye. One of the brothers does have the all done, no mixed flight, has a pretty dark orange eye. She has a tiny bit of white on the rump. She's very frequent. Like I said, twice a minute, and she came into the role earlier, and really she had 2 sisters that died before her that came in way too hot, bumping, dead, and she herself looked like she was going to go that same way. I fed her up just a little and held her maybe 1 fly or 2, and she got a hold of it. She can hold herself now. So you know, always be conscious of those pairs that produce you roll downs, because although you don't really want roll downs, you're really close to a fire. You know, so and that could be a good thing.
So Paul, tell us about a little different about roll downs and bumpers.
Yeah, you know, a roll down and a bumper, definitely 2 different things. I have pigeons that will bump from time to time, and very hot pigeons will bump. If you go to some guys' houses that have some good jackanets, they have very little control over the roll. They tend to roll, you know, and that's how you're going to get that kind of frequency, is to have that kind of bird. And sometimes you see a real exceptional bird that has the control, the depth, the velocity, everything. But unfortunately, those birds are very rare. And then for that bird to also be a team player is even rarer still. So these jackanets tend to be really good in the team. You know, jackanets, Higgins, same kinds of. They work really well in a team, and sometimes we'll come out bumping. A lot of those times are when they're out of shape. When they're out of shape, or you let a lot out at one time. If you do have some real hot, deep birds, you're gonna want to let those birds out. You don't want to just open the dang door. You want to let the door open, let out about 10 birds or 5 or 6, and let them out just a little bit. All right. So back in the mix here, we got 3 excellent hens. These are all 3 of these? No, I got the bronze. The bronze ones made it up to not one of those brothers, but the other two. No, the black is not. The black sister, I had made it up to one of its brothers last time, but she's that ultra frequent hen that I spoke of. She is a beautiful bird. She's real buttery in the hands. Got a little bit smaller of a stature, as you can kind of tell. Excellent bird. Twice a minute, if not 3 times a minute, and just like clockwork. She will not refuse to roll. Double negative, right? Or she will always roll. Let's just say that. These other 2 birds are sisters. In fact, 456 and 455. They came out of the same bowl. This was an excellent pigeon that I had for a brief time. It was that I had gotten from Sal Velasquez, one of those, or not Sal, Juan Velasquez, that came from Sal, and I had crossed it to a bird that I had from Suchi for a hot second, a bald head bird from indeterminate family. And these rippers, this odd side, I guess, would you call it, or bearded, this one's more of a bald, I guess. This odd side, bronzish one right here was just a knot. She tied it up so tight. She was like a little spinning ball, like a little orb, and beautifully colored bird. That kind of bronze you don't see very often. All 3 of these birds have produced already for me, for sure. I pulled that little hen out a little bit earlier to breed than her brother. She only got about a year inside the. She just proved herself to be too excellent of a pigeon. Like I said, very frequent, and back to the kit immediately. And I had several guys tell me to stalk her. Several old guys, Joe Keyser told me, Roy Edmonds told me, Jesse Quintero, several guys told me to stalk this bird, and I felt as though I was getting jinxed by the second, right? Every time you talk about stalking a bird, the hawk's gonna come eat it. So I took that bird out at about a year, maybe a year and a half of work, and she went into the stock pen. She's an excellent little bird and a producer, and so are these other 2 birds. Like I said, are sisters. So they're all 3 of them excellent in the air, and I think all 3 of them flew right around the same time. These are 2012 birds. And hens come in just a little bit earlier for me. I'm not sure if you guys have the same experience or you have, Zane, but I see hens come in just a little bit earlier, more on the 4 or 5 month range, a little bit more consistently. I know the blackbird came in even maybe a tad bit earlier than that. She was going to be real close to bumping. Her sisters that came before a couple previous rounds out of the same pair died, and they died maybe at the 2 months of flying. You know, because some birds, once they start to kit, they'll get mixed up, and that trigger will just go off in their brain. And if they got that good deep roll in them, that won't save their lives. That's for sure. But yeah, these are excellent birds. Mostly, like I said, the ballhead out of indeterminate family. So I'm kind of trying to mash them up here to get out something that I can maybe one day call uniquely mine. But we'll see how that goes.
So Paul, what year or what best kit you ever flown?
Oh yeah, I mean, definitely in 2014. I did really well for the World Cup that I had him coming on. I had him coming on really good. I can't remember how much I scored in the prelims, but I won the prelims and went on. And luckily in 2014, for myself, just to have the privilege to meet the guy, was able to meet Heine Biker and spend a lot of time with him, drink a couple beers with him, stuff like that. But unfortunately, I only scored about 100, or fortunately, I scored about 100 and some odd points in the World Cup, enough to put me like in the 30 range, high 30s, 38, something like that, which I felt was a pretty good outing. I think my highest thus far in the World Cup. But then in 2000, or excuse me, that same year, 2014, the fall fly, I was lucky enough to qualify again, win that particular fly off here in the 9H, and then we moved on to the finals, and Eldon Cheney came, and you know, things got to line up for your birds to do well. My birds were rolling great, and I had that going for me. But on that particular day, in the fall, sometimes here in the Central Valley, even in October, it can be sweltering hot, even in the morning. You know, today we got a pretty nice day. That particular day was in October. It was for the fall fly, and it was in the finals. And we had overcast, very overcast, and even a drizzle of rain. And that's possibly the best weather you can have for flying pigeons. Good luck, Don McCauley out in Las Vegas, right? They're never going to get drizzlings of rain. Anybody in Arizona, right, is not gonna get that kind of weather. Jose Archiga, right? Like I don't know how he's able to get such good flies, because I know a lot of guys in Europe get that kind of weather all the time. Heine Biker probably gets that kind of weather all the time, but luckily that day I was able to get that kind of weather. I scored 518 points.
You're like top 5, right?
Top 3, bro.
Top 3.
Yeah, I got
sorry about that.
Yeah. No sorry needed, but I was really happy about that. And especially because it was 2014. I think I mentioned earlier I had gotten back into pigeons in 2011. So it was 3 years back into pigeons. I was able to achieve that kind of success. I felt really, really happy with myself.
So Paul, how do you prep your birds for competition?
You know, I like to feed my birds mixed feed. I don't feed them individually, and I know some guys who do. They're whack jobs. They got a lot of time on their hands, right? I'm lazy. You could probably tell by my unkept yard and background here, but I'm fairly lazy. Sometimes I like to break down the feed when into major competition mode. This year, just due to some terrible errors on my own part, I'm a little bit out of competition, and I've taken the really lazy man's route, and I just feed them mix all the time. But you can, and if you are going to feed mix, and most of my good competition kits came off of mix, but at some point during the mix feeding and in your young bird, you have to introduce straight peas. There will be some birds that will not eat the peas. They don't like the big pieces of seed. A lot of times your smaller hens, your weaker birds, and if all they get is milo and wheat, they're not going to be as strong as the other birds. So you're going to want them to get adjusted to eating whatever feed is right in front of their face. You can see your best bet is to watch them, and Heine Biker said the same thing too, but you're going to want to watch your birds eating. That's one of the most important things. Not only is watching them in the air important, watching them on the ground eating is important. Not just sitting there on the shelf. That's fine to just look at and drool over, but you're gonna want to watch them eating. And if you see some birds jumping all over each other, or stick up their wings real high like a young tiny bird, that's just as much of a cull as a bird who can't keep with the kit in the air, because that bird eventually will not keep with the kit in the air.
Well, that's good information right there.
So yeah, you do have to watch your birds eat, and you really want them to be head down eaters, and that's just where they're gonna eat whatever's in front of them, no matter what, until it's all gone.
So how many % of feed do you give them? Like,
I give them that 15%, I think it's 15.5% no corn. It's a seed factory product. What? and it's a great product. It has some stuff in there that the pigeons don't really like. Because I feed it to my breeders too. So but it's funny because across the board, right? Some birds really hate that freaking trapper pea, the white pea.
Yeah.
Oh, some birds hate that, and then other birds, they'll eat the white pea down, but they'll leave all the wheat behind, you know. But all the birds love that safflower in there. It's got some safflower. It's got some barley in there, and I, you know, if you are going to like the piecemeal feed, which I have done at times to try to add a little juice to my birds, is to get all the different grains, and that way you can feed them different ratios. But holy smokes, that adds a lot of different dynamic to the game, and I don't think it affects them as much as well. It can affect them a lot. If you switch your bird from mixed to all Milo, or you switch to all wheat, it will produce a little bit different. I know a lot of guys who fly on straight wheat. I don't think that's the answer. We have a lot of athletes out there, and I know this pigeon is not Michael Phelps, but you know, Michael Phelps would eat, you know, 3 bacon sandwiches in the morning, you know, like he burns a lot of calories. And I think some of these pigeons that spin 10,000 miles an hour burn a lot of calories, and they need the food. They need oily food too. They need some safflower. They need some stuff like that, peas and stuff like that. So, and one trick too that Monty Nibel used to do: cut back the feed a little, and then in the morning, give them a little duster of millet right before they're about to go out. That's gonna be some good active kid. You gotta watch out with millet though. It's really scary. That's kind of a secret. Not too many people will talk to you about that, but parakeet feed, it tricks the birds a lot. I think just like Milo, the amount of times they peck, and there's a lot of mysticism in pigeons, right? There's a lot of mysticism in pigeons, and a lot of it is complete hogwash, right? Straight BS. But some of it might be, you know, I don't know. You can keep your mind open to a lot of things in pigeons. There's a lot of unknowns, right? They're little pigeons. The gene for roll is unknown, you know. It's not like the gene for white, you know, where we can breed certain pigeons together and get all the white we want. You can't choose 2 great rollers and get roll. So some of the mysticism you might have to incorporate, you know. So I don't know. I can't remember what we were even talking about.
So Paul, what's the best kit you ever seen?
Oh, best kid I've ever seen. Now, see, I've been watching pigeons for a while, so I was at Don Ouellette's house for the finals. I think I went on the prelims and the finals in like 2000 or 2001 World Cup, something like that. Don flew his birds. I think it was the finals, and I think he won. He flew them right at dusk, and those birds were just dropping bombs. They're dropping bombs. Me and Don Ouellette, unfortunately, don't get along too great as personality-wise. But he has some excellent pigeons over there. He has some really fast pigeons in his particular breeding program. I mean, I don't know who told him how to do that. I think he obviously did it himself, but he was able to come up, and especially at that particular time, 2000 or 2001, I can't 100% sure. That kid ripped. There was deep and fast birds, and that's the kind of bird that I really, really like to watch. I also saw Chris Hobby's kit, and I was scribing for Eldon Cheney. I was the director, and this was just after in the morning my kit had scored close to 520 points. I was scribing, and the whole time I'm like, geez, these birds. Chris Hobby's kit was working ridiculous. Darren Tracy, he ended up scoring over 500 points himself.
What family you fly?
Huh?
What family you fly?
Chris Hobby?
Yeah.
Chris Hobby flies Borges. He flies a lot of Borges stuff.
Oh.
Which is Old Family Pinsum, which technically is what Don Ouellette sort of flies. Don Ouellette flies Borges mixed in with some stuff that goes on to the other side of 273. 272, my bad, not 273. I don't know the numbers very well. It's 272. The other side of 272, like on his mom's side or something, had a bunch of white in that pigeon, apparently, or something. Don Ouellette was telling me, and he had showed me, and he had told me all about it, and he had shown me the birds he was working with. It was like a bald head, white flight, blue bar, and that sucker, he had mated it back to some of that Borges 272 stuff, and his 3 bird or something. He mixed them all around. I think he added a few extra birds that he had randomly got, but Sabi's kit is mostly Borges, and he's obviously mixed in stuff here and there to make it his own over the years, for sure. So, but man, his birds were on fire that day, and they scored about 500 points, and some of the most half turns that I've seen, and there's another kit that stands out to me that did really well, and it was Mike Walden's kit, but I don't think it was for any particular fly. I think I went over there on a random day, and his birds were just dumping, and we're talking a lot of 3/4 turns, a lot of them, like, 15, 16 birds going. Whether or not the judge would call them is a mystery. I think 15 is a hard number for any judge to get over, but he has the group potential and real consistency over the years. He has a lot of hawk problems. I've seen Zhang's team rip it up a couple times, right, Zhang?
Yeah.
A few guys in our area fly really good kits. Salmon Williams flies a really good kit. He flies some damn neat birds. He's kind of switched up, I guess, his philosophy these past couple of years. I haven't seen him in a while, but yeah, I'm trying to think if I've seen any other all-star standout kits. No, I haven't seen any of those English birds fly. Oh, I saw at Joe Emberton's house. I saw the English birds fly. But it was real hot that day. It wasn't a good day to fly pigeons. I would really like to see there's a few kits that I would like to see. I'd like to go out and see Wayne Fetter's kit. That would be pretty sweet. There's a couple guys up there in Oregon, I think, that fly some great birds. The winner of the World Cup last year, I can't remember his name. I think he flies that stuff. And I would love to go out and see Heidi Biker's kit. One day, that's like a bucket list thing for...
that's my bucket list too.
Right?
Heidi Biker.
So... Best pigeon.
Yeah, best individual.
Best individual. There was a pigeon at your house, Zane, that really stands out. It's one of the better pigeons that I've ever saw. Ended up getting a special name, right? Isn't it called some mong? What does it mean in English first?
You mean are you for real?
Are you for real? It's Payamas.
Payamas.
Payamas. Yeah, something like that. And that pigeon is a little dark checker.
Pat bred it.
Pat bred it.
Yeah, and I think Pat is quit, and I think I don't know what happened to that bird, but I think Pat's giving it to somebody.
I hope he gives it to me. But that particular bird was just a shredder, man. And again, it had the excellent timing. It's gonna roll regardless. It's gonna roll once, twice a minute regardless. And that kind of bird can snap the kid into action. You know, if there's a bird that's just gonna go, the other birds will go with it. And that bird had that kind of timing too. It would go anytime the kid would go. And it really had the great style and ball up type features that you really want to see. There was another bird bred by Art Lee. He used to live in Galt. He lives up there in Mountain House or Mountain Ranch or up the hill. He bred a bird is out of his Borges Keyser stuff over there, old family Pinsum stuff. There was an EZR deal where they had, it was kind of like a fraternity almost, where a bunch of guys donated good birds, and Chris Sabi settled them and flew them, and then we auctioned them. You know, we flew them for people and auctioned them.
Okay.
I didn't have nothing going at that time. I donated some junkers. But Art Lee, out of the kindness of heart, drew out this. It was a beautiful bird. It was all, I think it was a blue check, but it had one or two white feathers in the wing. I always like that for a bird. And that sucker was a fast bird and the greatest style, and at that perfect depth, you know, at 20, 30, 25, 30. Just boom, perfect, boom, perfect, boom, perfect. You know, real straight, real coming out of the roll, perfect. Some of them Keyser birds can really, really rip it. But yep, that's pretty good. I'm gonna put these birds away though.
All right.
What's up? So wrapping up over here at the old Tillery household. Yep, just wanted to say what's up to all my homies out there. Got a lot of people who helped me out in the game. You know, my boy Juan Velasquez, he's my man. Helped me out from day one. Suchi, you know, Ken Furl, wherever you are, those guys. My uncle, you know, Tom Tillery, they all helped me out. My local bros here with the EZR. And my local Hmong brethren, you know, Zhang, John, Tang, Pao, Al, you guys are all my boys. Yep, and bummed out about some of the events that happened, you know, but what can I say? I'm a little greedy, but you know, I'm trying to just forget about that and keep on trucking. You know what I'm saying? Flying some good birds, and you know, I really think we should have a California Classic type fly, California fly off. That would be sweet. I know they're trying to do just Northern California only. We need to step up. This needs to be a money fly, straight up money fly, and it should be for money. and we got to pay a judge to come in from out of state, an impartial judge, something like that, come in, and that would be real fun, especially for me, not being able to fly in the NBRC, but and also too, there's a fraternity. Danny Duran's got one going up there. Is that how you say his name? Danny.
Yeah,
He's got one going up there in Moda. And damn, I missed out on that by like, I don't know. I heard about it coming up, and I just never got birds up to him. I was about to go up and drive up, but man, it's like a 5.5 hour trek up there, you know. And it's just like, dang, he keeps offering up to go up there, and it's just like, oh yeah, I'll go up there as soon as there's a high-speed rail system, you know. But I don't know. I would love to have a fraternity myself over here. I've got a great area to fly as well. But I would like a California fly off. That would be cool. We got such a big state. We got the majority of pigeon flyers are right here in the beautiful Sunshine State of California. Central Valley especially. We could just have a Central Valley fly off. I think that would be really sweet. And
nice.
And it didn't have to require any participation with any club. We should just have the Central Valley fly off and San Joaquin Valley fly off, and see what we could get going, man. Because I mean, this is fun to fly these pigeons, and it's just got to be a little bit more low key, and maybe some of these older organizations that perhaps haven't accepted as many people. We just need to go ahead and accept them, and maybe we should just make it a rule to let everyone be on the same page. Maybe everyone should just watch from the street. That way you don't have no pressure to go into anybody's backyard or see any type of security systems and shotguns they may have waiting for you. You know?
Yeah.
So, you know, because that's one thing that we do not like in this pigeon community is there is a possibility of theft of these birds. People think that stealing birds is no big deal, I guess, sometimes. But hopefully we're moving towards an age where these birds shouldn't get stolen, and they shouldn't have such a high price tag on them either, you know. Some of these birds should be given away. If you start off with 3 birds, you will have 1 million by the end of the month, you know. That's kind of how these birds breed, really similar to rabbits. So if we can, anything that has high price tags on it will get stolen.
That's true.
Unfortunately. So if it is as cheap as dirt, you know, nobody steals that much dirt. So, you know, keep that in mind, or keep yourself locked down, or like I said, have a fly that makes it mandatory to watch from the street. But a California fly would be pretty fun, and I think we have a lot of guys interested in Fresno, and as well as up more north towards Sacramento and stuff like that. So,
Hey, Paul, I got a question.
yeah.
Imagine you just started starting to the roller hobby.
Yeah.
Where did you go get some good birds from? How did you start? Where did you start?
You could scour Craigslist and find a bunch of junk, right? You could
Facebook?
You could, like days of old, look in the back of some of these popular magazines and find some of these guys that may or may not be feather merchants selling birds that may or may not roll. You know, I did the kind of research. Yeah, again, I got back into it in 2011. I thought I was just going to get a mainline from my uncle, but my uncle didn't really have any birds. So I was in that position. I was a young guy looking for birds. If you want to do competition, you should get your birds from somebody who's doing competition. And you want somebody who's been doing well for a while. Not all these guys have the birds to be able to give away, though. So when starting off, you're going to want to start with what you can get your hands on. So fly birds, get a kit in your backyard, be serious. Fly in the competitions, join your local club, fly in local club competitions, just fly them every day, it's fun. And you get involved in these local competitions, people will come to your backyard, you will get help. You will get help. It wasn't a day process for me. It wasn't a day process for Zhang. It wasn't, everyone had to go around. Your best bet is to go around and watch birds. Before you even have birds, watch as many birds as you can. Go out and go out on the big flies. Go out when the guys have their stuff prepped good. Go out when the master flyers come out of the freaking darkness of their backyards, right? come out and see the birds that are good and watch those and try to get the ones that you really like. Don't get sold up. Mysticism is one thing, but getting sold up on some dude's dog and pony show story is not good. And a lot of these guys try to talk you up a lot on some birds that they're not trying to fly for you. And basically, what the deal is you gotta see that spin. You gotta see something. And if they're a bunch of garbage that aren't flying together and can barely spin, I know a lot of guys, a lot of young guys are constantly looking for roll downs. And I think it's hilarious that these guys are looking for roll downs. If it is a flat roll down and somebody is gonna give that, roll downs end up in the feed store. Roll downs end up in the garbage can. I had a 90-footer, a beautiful bird to watch, right? But it's not gonna fly in my kit ever. It's not gonna breed either. That's just a you could breed it. You could try. You never know. That's the one glorious thing about pigeons, right? Is you never know. You never know what's going to be the good breeder. Because sure as hell ain't your best flyer. Because that sucker's been breeding forever and it made me nothing. But I don't know. So you're gonna want to get it from successful guys who have built families. So a guy like me would not be a great guy to get birds from just because I have a mishmash of families. I haven't quite gotten them down. A guy like, I hate to rep some of these guys, but a guy like Don Ouellette, I mean, these are guys that I know. Guys, Don Ouellette, Sammy Williams, especially Mike Walden, like guys like that, Ramsey Aljuni, excuse me for the pronunciation. Some of those guys, all four of those guys have been breeding their birds. Hey, Joe Keyser. Get some birds from Joe Keyser. There's nothing wrong with Joe Keyser birds. They're some of the best birds out there. He doesn't necessarily fly them for a competition, but he keeps them really pure. And don't be afraid to mix them up. I know a lot of people would say, oh, the beginner should start off with a pure family and stay that way. Yes, that is the truth if you get your birds from a guy like Mike Walden. If you get your birds from a very good producing family and you got sort of the four corners of that family and you can breed those together, stick with that. But if you're getting birds, a couple from your uncle, a couple from your cousin, a couple from your brother, a couple from your homie, you just mix those up and see what you get, because a lot of times those F1 hybrids, those crosses, are gonna turn out fire. And that's like that's something that's not really talked about that much. A lot of guys will have you believe that's a really certain family that's kicking it off. But like KGB, Kenny Billings, enjoyed a bunch of success fairly recently. And what I heard, I mean, it's kind of hearsay, but no, he says it himself. He says it himself in his interview in one of the NBRC things, that he's enjoyed a lot of success. Although he keeps his pure family pure all the time, a lot of the kit birds end up being crosses. So he has a pure section of that family, and he has some Easleys, and he kind of mixes them in, and that's where he gets a lot of that fire. Some of those birds, if kept pure for too long, especially if it's real far away from the main stuff, or it only came out of a few pairs to begin with, it's gonna get really stiff. That family's gonna get really stiff, especially if you're not a magician flyer. And some of these guys, I mean, have to go through ridiculous routine to get their birds to fly. And I'm not with that. I don't know about you guys or Zhang, man.
No, I want my birds to
I don't
go up
want to
and
go
fly
through that
and
much.
spin.
Yeah, I want to open the door and let them fly, and they spin. You know, similar to these birds that are up there right now. But I feed a mix. I open the door. I let them fly. That's the kind of birds I want to work with. Some birds require a lot more than that, and those some people that raise those will lead you to believe that those are the better birds, you know. But it's in the eye of the beholder. If you're truly looking for the ultimate speed, you know, you're going to want to chase after some of that old pinsum, but also remember, I think you're going to be chasing it a little bit more than actually having it, you know. Some of that ultimate speed is hard to have, and also be aware that the jackanet birds and the English birds have good speed as well. The thing that's hard to notice with some of those birds, that they perform so well in unison. It's hard to mark one bird, and if you got birds that are doing 3/4 turns, and it's real hard to see to mark out one bird and say, oh God, that's an exceptionally fast bird. But on other teams with really fast birds, if they roll singularly, you know, you're easily able to tell that, you know. So, anything else, buddy? What do we got?
Maybe that's it. Wrap it up right there.
Wrap it up, huh?
All right.